If those at the Democratic Convention were truthful. Item: we do not work for you. We will not work for you. We work for those with the power, with the money. The war industry, the fossil fuel industry, the Israeli lobby, the Christian Zionist lobby, the billionaires, and the large corporations and their stockholders. If you're not in that group, we don't work for you. Our relationship to you is scamming you, fooling you, lying to you, deceiving you, deluding you, confusing you. Item: to those we work for, just enumerated, and therefore to ourselves, the rest of you are walking dead people. The term in prison is dead man walking. It's not so much that we don't care, comma, but we don't, comma, we're numb, comma, we're no longer human. It's just that it was decided long ago that you are superfluous. Our interest is in keeping you docile so that we don't have to deal with a rebellion. And that's our job as politicians, to keep you distracted and deluded and choosing denial over facing the truth. We are not your employees. We are the employees of the people we enumerated. Our masters with wealth and power. So if you want to understand what you mean to us, imagine what you mean to them. You are useless mouths. They don't need you. They have robots. They have artificial intelligence. They pretty much don't need you. They need what little money you currently have because it is more profitable for them to take it by enslaving you than by killing you and taking it. Although there are exceptions to that, somewhat rare now, and the norm in the future, Palestine being a key example. It isn't a matter of religion, it is a matter of power and wealth. and the wealthy want that land for strategic reasons, largely to do with fossil fuels in the region, and secondarily, probably trade routes and routes for pipelines. And Palestine is particularly useful because as it becomes just as profitable or more profitable to exterminate people to get their resources, Palestine is a proving ground for the lawfare, weaponry, messaging, and marketing of that approach. Your economy, your ability to support yourselves is gone, except for the trappings that we keep in place until we're ready to exterminate you and or imprison you as an interim measure. You have no economic future other than the charade that we maintain. Your children have no economic future other than the charade we maintain. All of your activist illusions and activist pursuits are a cruel charade. They have zero traction. They are allowed simply because they are part of the facade that keeps you docile. And at this point, it's more expensive for us to politely deal with the revolution than it is to keep you occupied with your futile activism fantasies. You will not stop global extermination of the ability of Earth to support life. You will not stop the genocide currently confined to Palestine. You will not stop police violence. You will not stop the proliferation of guns. What do we and our masters care if you exterminate yourselves? You will be exterminated, and if you exterminate yourselves, how much more useful for us? Your higher education is part of the delusion that we allow to keep you distracted and passive. Of what use to we and our masters is your education? None. Remember, we have our robots, we have our artificial intelligence. The problem of Earth becoming inhospitable to life is only partly solved for us. It isn't solved for you at all, and it won't be, but we don't care about that. You are already simply useless irritants for us, except for the little bit of material wealth that we can get more profitably by enslaving you as we do than exterminating you yet. What do we need your degrees for? We don't. Your degreed services are useless to us except for part of the delusion. The pre-mass genocide delusion to keep you passive until we're ready to destroy you all, or at least imprison you all for whatever slave labor value you might have. The social issues that we make such a issue of, what is our interest in that? Well, even our masters wish not to see how consummately evil they are, and we, their servants, would rather not face how evil we are. So participating in the totally superficial, inconsequential discussion and arguments of what is good is pleasurable to us. It makes life more pleasant for us. It is of no economic consequence, one way or the other. Your resources, your wealth is not yours, it's ours. Our strategies are in place to take those resources, first through your will and slavery, and then by your enslavement and your imprisonment and extermination. So they are an amusement for us, a distraction from our own evil, and a further way of keeping you distracted from your only possible remedy, which is complete revolution to overthrow us and take control of the world's resources for yourselves. And how does this relate to jesianity, Jesus' way? His situation was the same. His world was the same, with the exception that there were not robots available and there was not artificial intelligence. So slave labor was centrally important. People were not superfluous. The need to prevent revolt was central and more extreme than it is today, because they didn't have the technology of mass control and easy mass extermination that technology and the internet, artificial intelligence, the cloud, the weapons of mass destruction that can be targeted. So people did have some value, extreme value actually, their slave labor back then. But much of the dynamics were the same. And Jesus saw that the solution was not likely to be physical revolution or rather violent revolution. The power was too much. Powers of destruction were too much on the side of empire to be overcome by he and his people. So his solution was to enter a different kingdom, a different psychological world, because we all live out of a psychological world view every breath. And he created for himself and then tried to share a worldview that pulled on the levers of our DNA-given psychological world, neuropsychological world, neurochemical world, in such a way that our life was joyful, even no matter what empire was doing to us at the moment, collectively and individually. And although it's not crystal clear, there's reason to think that he thought that there was material hope in that it might create an awakening on the part of some, or maybe even enough, of the enslavers, that they would choose to detach from their enslaving ways and to enter the kingdom. And I'm not sure he discusses or considers whether it could cause such a detachment from performing as slaves that the slave labor force upon which empire depended would go away, causing the implosion of empire physically and therefore its destruction. But whether he explicitly considered that or spoke of it, it is at least theoretically a possible outcome of his way being near universally embraced and adopted.